Good morning, everyone. Each day during the week leading up to Easter, we're going to be presenting some video devotionals. Today's passage is taken from John chapter 12, verses 20 through 36. Let me read it for you. Now, among those who went up to worship at the festival were some Greeks. They came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and said to him, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." Philip went and told Andrew. Then Andrew and Philip went and told Jesus. Jesus answered them, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Very truly I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. To those who love their life lose it, and those who hate their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, there will my servant be also. Whoever serves me, the Father will honor. Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this reason that I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name." Then a voice came from heaven, "I have glorified it, and will glorify it again." The crowd standing there heard it and said that it was thunder. Others said, "An angel has spoken to him." Jesus answered, "This voice has come for your sake, not for mine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be driven out. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself." He said this to indicate the kind of death he was to die. The crowd answered him, "We have heard from the law that the Messiah remains forever. How can you say that the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is the Son of Man?" Jesus said to them, "The light is with you for a little longer. Walk while you have the light, so that the darkness may not overtake you. If you walk in darkness, you do not know where you are going. While you have the light, believe in the light, so that you may become children of the light." After Jesus had said this, he departed and hid from them. This story, like all the others that we're looking at this week, takes place in the week leading up to Jesus' death and resurrection. Here, though, Jesus is asked a question by some Gentiles, which was a bit unusual because generally Gentiles and Jews did not interact with one another. And Jesus, when he begins talking to them, goes on to talk about his impending death. And he says several things about it. The first that he says is that he compares his death to a stalk of grain. And that as long as it is alive, it just remains a single stalk. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. Jesus is claiming that his impending death is going to be something that will produce much fruit. Jesus lived a sinless and perfect life. But as perfect as that life was, without his death, it would have no meaning. In other words, it would be nothing more than just a good example. But Jesus' death brought salvation and atonement to all mankind, bringing much greater fruit. The second thing he says about his death is he talks about how he is troubled about it. He knows what he's about to face, and yet he doesn't shrink back from it. He knows that this was planned from the very beginning. It was why he came in the first place. And so this was part of the plan, and he's ready to go through it. And the third thing he talks about is that when he is lifted up, when he is raised up on the cross, he'll draw all people to himself. It's the purpose that he came, was to draw people to him and also to glorify God and to be atoned for their sins. As important as those things are, Jesus also talks a little bit about what that impact has for those of us who follow him. And the one thing is, he says, if you want to serve me, you must follow me. Jesus' death isn't something that was to take place and have no impact, just something great event in history. It's supposed to impact us so that we will follow after him. He also later says that we are to walk in the light, and those two things are fairly similar. They're talking about how we are to live, that we are to obey Jesus, to follow his teachings, and to allow his teaching, his word, to light our path, to be the light for us so we know how to live. I'd like to invite you this Easter season, not to think about Easter as just another religious holiday, another check mark on the calendar, but to realize that it was the fulfillment of God's plan, the purpose for Jesus coming in the first place, to die for us, to redeem us as his people. And more than that, that we will look upon that as a means and a way for us to begin to follow him, to live a life that pleases him, to let his teachings be, as the psalmist says, a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. Well, thanks for tuning in this morning, and may God bless you.